since their inception, cars and automobiles have been these magnificent machinery, analog, that have helped people connect. It was not until the 1950s, early 1950s, that they actually became something that the drivers and passengers began to connect themselves with emotionally. I work for Harman Becker, and Harman Becker has been in the forefront and one of the pioneers that began bringing the emotional connection with an automobile through audio, radio, and music. 1948, Max Egon Becker started Becker Automotive in Germany with starting to fix automotive radios to enable people in Germany to listen to music on the go. In 1949, the first Becker radio, called as the autophone, was invented and introduced, and it was a remarkable invention for its day, being able to provide full range of scanning for FM automatically. And at that time, this was built using old used parts of a mechanical radio from the United States. 1953, the Becker Mexico was another leap in its time. It was the first automotive radio that not just integrated the automatic FM scan, it added additional features with larger bandwidth and some sophisticated features, which even today, to look at it, it looks archaic, but it had some of the latest and basic inventions that have made it possible to listen to sound and listen to audio in a moving car. 1969 was a pivotal year with the introduction of the Becker Olympia into a Mercedes-Benz. And the Olympia was one of the most popular infotainment car audio radios of its time. And the most important part of it was it not just added the FM scan, but it also integrated a cassette player into the infotainment system. 1997, now Becker was Harman Becker. Harman had acquired, and it introduced the first FM radio that also integrated the navigation as well as CD. Why am I talking about all of this? It is to show that as the automotive industry has matured, what it has really tried to do is build more of an emotional connection to the drivers and the passengers in the vehicle, whether it's giving them an ease and comfort in knowing where they're going in terms of navigation, whether it's entertaining them through music, bringing music that they love, the channels that they love, but also being able to personalize their music, whether it's cassette players or CD players. It was not until 2005 when the first speech recognition was introduced into automotives. And IBM worked collaboratively with Honda Motors and integrated their via voice technology, which was a very unique, natural speech recognition technology. And the key purpose of this was to enable the drivers and the passengers to make hands-free, natural-sounding calls using this technology. And that was a giant leap in terms of where the technology was and what was introduced into the car. It's also imperative to note that automotive was the first industry to adopt speech and voice as an interaction modality. This was long before Siri and long before Alexa, long before Bixby, long before all of that. 2005 and beyond, there has been leaps and bounds in terms of technology integration. And when you look at the digital cockpit of today, the technology of 1950s seems archaic. But the technology, those specific fundamental technology, make the underlying basis for what we enjoy, the solutions that we enjoy today. As the technology matured and as we moved on, there was a lot of other emotional reaction that the technology brought forth, not always positive. And it ended up that voice and connectivity to voice was one of the key issues, and it was always in the top 3 issues that people had when it came to their infotainment systems. And you can understand the reason why. Because when you talk to people, when you're communicating with each other, it is extremely frustrating when you are not being understood. And it is even more so when you are in a car, noisy environment. It is not a trivial problem to solve, and it has taken the industry a long time to get to the point where we are now in a second wave of new and advanced technologies that are looking to address the issues that have plagued the industry, particularly the automotive voice and in-car voice. But there are some very key lessons to note and important points to consider even as these new entrants begin and try to dynamically change the automotive voice and speech industry. I call them the 3 C's. It's taking a bit, that was interesting. I call them the 3 C's. The first is being connected. The big reason we're seeing the second wave is when you were speaking in the past to your car, to your audio system, it barely learned anything about you. You could ask it the same questions the first day to the 100th day, and it would still learn nothing about you, and you would still not personalize. This is not very intuitive for us. This does not aid us to build an emotional connection. My first conversation with a person is not equal to my 100th conversation. We learn so much about each other through verbal, nonverbal communication, and we tailor how our responses are based on that. And that can only happen if my voice assistant is connected and is able to contextualize my questions, is able to learn more about me and bring that to my next interaction with my voice assistant. The other core issue is choice. And this is something that is glaringly obvious. And you've gone to so many sessions here, and you've seen that in every other realm of the digital life of a consumer, whether it's at home or on mobile, they have the choice to use not just one, but multiple voice assistants. They have the choice which allows them to get a diverse and interesting perspective from different voice assistants. In the automotive world today, in the car today, I do not have that choice. I can have one or the other. And this is very unnatural for a human interaction. And more importantly, collaboration. And for all that voice can be in a car, it is definitely going to take a very close collaborative effort between the car OEMs, the VPA providers, and solution providers like Harman. Without that close collaboration, it will not be possible to bring out everything that a total voice experience can be to enhance the digital life of our consumers in the house, on their mobile device and on the go. Harman is working in providing a solution. We've been working on a technology that we called an intelligent reasoning assistant, which we built and demonstrated into this beautiful Maserati car at CES 2018. And we have further developed not just the embedded part of it, but also a cloud part of it. And the core objective with which we built this was to be able to behave as a mediating agent between several voice assistants. And we also built in several unique interaction modalities that would not just enable you to ignore or not use the wake word, but give you the choice to use the wake word along with other modalities such as gaze-enabled voice recognition, but also a physical button that you could turn and pick the different voice assistant that you would want and ask a specific question, or you could ask the wake word and go to the specific question. And one of the things that we learned was there are different ways people interact. There are different ways people interact with their cars. There are different ways they interact with their voice assistants. And being able to provide that choice to them is imperative. With that, I would like to ask the audience here and all the developers here, the voice recognition, and in particular, being able to introduce that into an automotive environment is quite unique. It's quite different. The use cases are quite different. So to expect or believe that what has been developed for a consumer world, an in-home experience, or on my mobile, that would translate seamlessly into an automotive use case is probably a primitive view. And we are beginning to see where people are understanding that there is a significant gap between what is developed on the consumer home side and bridging that gap to being in an automotive. And I would like to reiterate that collaboration between the automotive OEMs and the tier ones to work closely with the VPAs is critical. I hope the perspective of what has been and how long it has taken to get to this point enables us to understand what is needed to be done so that we can have one of the best experiences when it comes to voice. Having introduced it first in the automotive world as an interaction modality, I believe it is high time that we get it right. Thank you.